So you've probably seen the headlines about ShopBack's huge profit, right? But trust me, the real story here is so much more interesting than just one big number. We're going to look past the hype to understand the tough decisions, the smart pivots, and the seriously bold ambitions that are reshaping one of Asia's biggest shopping platforms. Okay, let's get into it. All right, let's start with that eye-popping number. For its 2025 financial year, ShopBack reported a profit of almost 209 million Singapore dollars. I mean, on the surface, that sounds like a massive success story. But what if I told you that number actually hides what's really going on? And there it is, the twist. This comes straight from the company's acting CFO. He's basically saying, hey, this huge profit didn't come from a big surge in our core business. So you gotta ask, if it wasn't their actual business performance, then where did all that money come from? To figure that out, here's how we're gonna break it all down. First, we'll unpack that surprising profit. Then we'll get into the real turnaround story that's happening behind the scenes. After that, we'll look at how they're pivoting their business model, their big plans for expanding beyond Asia, and finally, what could be next for ShopBack. All right, first up, a surprising $200 million profit. Let's dig into that headline number and see why it isn't quite what it seems. Okay, just look at this for a second. In a single year, ShopBack went from losing over 48 million US dollars to a profit of over 208 million Singapore dollars. A swing that massive is, well, it's pretty much unheard of. And that's our first big clue that there's something else going on here. And here's the answer. The profit wasn't from selling more things through their app. It came from something called finance income, which just skyrocketed from $7 million to almost $184 million. It's what's known as a paper gain. Think of it like the value of your house going up. It looks great, but it's not actual cash from your day-to-day operations. So where is the real story? And that brings us to the real story, because this isn't about some one-off financial gain. It's about a very deliberate, very disciplined effort to make the company's core business healthy and sustainable for the long haul. So you've really got two different narratives here. On one side, there's that flashy headline, profit driven by finance income. But on the other side, and this is the side that really matters, you see the real signs of a healthy company, sustained profitability, way less cash being burned, and lower operating costs. This is the stuff that gets investors excited about a company's future. Let's just focus on that cash burn for a second, because this is a huge deal. ShopBack cut the amount of cash it was burning through in its operations by an incredible 72%, down to just $6.9 million. That signals a massive cultural shift away from growth at all costs to, hey, we can stand on our own 2 feet. So how on earth did they do it? Well, it started with some really tough decisions. They had a major layoff, cutting nearly a quarter of their workforce. But it didn't stop there. They brought in what they call tighter operational discipline everywhere. That meant cutting IT costs, optimizing their technology, and being much smarter about how they managed their vendors. Basically, every single dollar was under the microscope. Now, cleaning up the finances was one thing, but at the same time, they were making a huge pivot in their strategy, moving away from expensive ventures and doubling down on what they're truly good at. So, just a quick refresher so we're all on the same page. ShopBack's core business is affiliate marketing. When you use their app to buy something, the store pays ShopBack a commission. ShopBack then shares a piece of that commission with you as cashback. It's a pretty simple and powerful model. This timeline really shows that focus in action. First, the layoffs helped them get lean. Then, they completely cut their buy now, pay later service, which is a business model that just eats up cash. And finally, they secured a super important payment license in Singapore. Every move was about making our core product stronger. And that license isn't just a piece of paper, it's a real game changer. It lets them bring new merchants on board way faster and handle payments much more efficiently. It's all about making their main service, ShopBack Pay, better and smoother. But here's the clever part. They're not just cutting back. They're also finding smart, low-cost ways to grow. They launched ShopBack Play, which is this feature that actually rewards you for playing mobile games. It's a brilliant way to keep users coming back to the app without having to spend a ton of money on marketing. So with the business now leaner and the strategy refocused at home, ShopBack is starting to look outward. They've got clear ambitions to go global and get themselves ready for the public markets. And in May of 2025, they made a massive move into North America. And they didn't just dip their toes in the water. No, they launched with over 2,000 merchants right out of the gate, including absolute giants like Amazon, Uber, and DoorDash. This wasn't a test, it was a statement. And they're getting their house in order for what's next. They've brought in some serious heavy hitters to their board, people with experience at global powerhouses like Ogilvy and Meta. And the reason? They said it themselves, to drive public-ready governance. You just don't make hires like that unless you're thinking about an IPO. So, where is all of this leading? The financial discipline, the global expansion, the new board members. It's all pointing in one direction, isn't it? An IPO. And reports are already suggesting that the company is looking at a public listing in Australia, maybe as early as 2027. All right, so as ShopBack gears up for this huge next chapter, what's their actual strategy for future growth? Where are they planning to place their bets? They've laid out a pretty clear three-part plan. First, they're going to embed AI everywhere to make the experience more personal and their operations more efficient. Second, they want to connect the online and offline worlds, bringing Cashback to physical stores. And third, they're looking to expand beyond just retail into new lifestyle categories. It's a plan for growth in every direction. And I think this quote from co-founder Joel Liang just captures their spirit perfectly. Even as they've become more focused and disciplined, they haven't lost that hunger to innovate and evolve. It's all about building a sustainable business that also stays fresh and exciting for its customers. Which leaves us with the big final question. ShopBack has pulled off an incredible turnaround, transforming itself into a lean, disciplined, and healthy company. But now, as it sets its sights on going public and taking on the massive Western markets, can this new, smarter model deliver the global success they're aiming for? That is the real story to watch.